Hello, good morning. Welcome into another episode of Good Morning Nasdaq right here on the Clover Trading YouTube channel. It is a beautiful day out there. The sun is shining. The wind is blowing. The birds, they are chirping as well. I imagine the frogs are out there doing something. But we're here for another show. It is Friday, the 29th day of August, year of our Lord 2025. Just shy of the 9 o'clock hour. I want to welcome all you guys in here as we close out another week. It is Friday, and as we close out another month, because before you know it, by the time I sign off here and we sign on one more time next week, it will be September. It'll be September. We'll be right around the fall. You guys already know college football starts this weekend, week 1, of course. So go Ducks. Is it Labor Day? We have something Monday. There's no trading Monday. Market is closed. So we'll have a long weekend. So we'll be able to take a ton of time, do our stats, figure out what went wrong in August, what went right, how can we become better as traders, and maybe just a little bit as people as well. But we'll do all that over the weekend once we wrap up today. We've had all of our webinars for the week, and this will be the last thing. I'm doing some driving, some traveling this afternoon, so really just looking at trading the open and then getting out of here. Super frustrating month just all across the board. Really happy to push on into September, and I know there's probably a few others as well. The overall market is basically at all-time highs, but small caps have just kind of been pretty wishy-washy, pretty choppy, pretty difficult to get a stranglehold on them if you like scalping around. But that is the way it is. August, September are generally like that, and even if they weren't, the market definitely goes through those cycles. You just have to adjust. You have to continue to make sure that you're on top of the right plays that come into your arsenal, that come into your lap, into your world from your arsenal. And you got to lose small. That is the name of the game. That's what we teach over at Clover Trading. If you're ever interested in coming to join and learn from us, you can over at clovertrading.io. Get yourself signed up for 3 or 4 leaf if you're interested in trade alerts, watch list, the room, video lessons, and webinars, live webinars and archive webinars, hundreds of hours of content for you guys. Be awesome if you check it out. If not, and you're just here for the YouTube stuff, just want to let you know that is free. It is free, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button as well. We really do appreciate it. All right. I can't ask Huddie or Kyle how they're doing. We just have this, what do you call it? When you're driving up and you see all the big buildings in a city. It's not the landscape. It's I don't know what it is. Detroit's the only one I have around me, and it's just sad. It's not the fields, it's not the woods, it's not the same happiness, but that's what you guys got today. You got the sky, which is nice, and you got some buildings. You got some tall buildings instead of Kyle or Huddie today. I'm sure someone will be back live with me next week, but skyline, there we go. That's what that is. It ruins the sky view because you have all these buildings. But yeah. So we'll just do it here today. We'll probably wrap it up 9:15, 9:20. So bring a couple questions. If you got anything, throw them in the live chat. If you got any tickers you got questions on, any ideas you want to talk about, be happy to do that. We got a couple gappers. Oh, no. I had a couple gappers. I at least have one on my chart, but my scanner looks like it just took a poop. I know we had at least 2 above 70%. So, all right, yeah, we'll talk about those 2, answer a few questions, and we'll get out of here. If that sounds to you, go ahead, hit that thumbs up button, post a question or comment in the live chat, and let's get after it. Your biggest gapper of the day is GMHS. I feel like overall, 2 gappers have just kind of been, again, wishy-washy, choppy. I feel like I would have to ask Kyle or Huddie kind of what their data looks like on shorting them this month, because I feel like we've had a ton that have been not really fade off, some that have faded off quite nicely, some that have ran but not really a ton that ran far, but some that probably just haven't paid all that well. So I'll have to ask them next week how August was for the gap and craps. At this point, I'm just rooting for any stock that's gapping up to go run 400, 500, 600% because it's nice to have charts on watch for potential future plays. And sometimes that comes from the gapper. So I'm rooting for them. GMHS is out of China, electronic gaming and multimedia, 5.29 million float. Says they are cash flow positive. with an quarterly operating cash flow of 0.25 million. I feel like anytime you see China and you think it might be a little scammy, they're always cash flow positive. They don't have any dilution, it says. And 13 hours ago, so right at the close of after hours yesterday, they announced a $5 million share repurchase program. I feel like we just saw that with IXHL recently. So there's nothing really here. It is China. Let's take a look at the daily chart and see if there is anything that ticks us off to it maybe being liquidation-y or scammy. I don't really see it. And this daily chart looks quite fresh and quite new. 127. So it looks like, I don't know if they IPO'd. But the chart I'm seeing is pretty fresh from 2025. Just a series of lower highs here on really no volume. The stock really hasn't done anything. Your all-time highs are just a little bit above us in the 350 area. The main level that I would be paying attention to out of the gate here as we're up 138% is like this 233 area on decent volume. What is this? 30 million. Yeah. So like $60 million volume. We spiked from the ones all the way into the low twos this morning, gapping up into the mid to high twos, as high as $3. Kind of feels, this one feels a little multi-week, multi-month breakout-y. At the breakout level, we're probably up what? 115, about 100% at that breakout level. So kind of already on the edge of, is it up too much to buy a breakout on? That would kind of be a question you'd have to answer for yourself. This isn't like my favorite style of breakout. Is stocks breaking out over recent resistance. Ones that did it recently are ETHC, which was ATNF, which kind of gapped over it and then held and went higher. That had crypto treasury or Ethereum news. BSLK was one that gapped into prior resistance on the daily chart. And that one would have been up to over 100% at that breakout level, but ended up running, as you guys know, a lot higher into the 17s from $2 a share. So it's hard to know what's up too much and what's not. You kind of have to know what perfect blend of shorts getting squeezed, potential catalyst, etc. that you're dealing with. The news here is not that great. I don't remember what Basilisk's news was, but I think it was probably more catchy than a share repurchase program. And I can even just look for 2 seconds just to see while we're here. Was it a private placement on BSLK? 814. All right. Maybe that was right after it. I don't know if there was news that day on BSLK. All right, but GMHS, that's kind of the area that makes sense. There's nothing else back on this daily chart. Something I like to look at when I'm pulling up stocks for the first time is, behavioral tendencies. What happens when the stock gaps up? What happens when the stock gets volume? What happens when it gets a PR or news? What it does on those days, because we're generally looking at stocks in small cap land that trade no volume most days. Here's 20K, 30K, 100K on most days of dollar volume. It's just not interesting. It's not being traded. It's not being watched. So what does it do when it is being traded, when it is being watched, when it is just a trading vehicle, when, very few people are really caring too much about the company, but it's just kind of shares exchanging hands between long, shorts, sellers, buyers, all that good stuff. And we don't have that here. The only day we have is this day in which we gapped up slightly, spiked, wasn't able to hold those gains go higher. We gapped down the next day and faded off to where we are now. So that area of resistance is important because, we've done a ton more volume today, 75 million already. So we already overcome that day. But if we have had any bag holders, it's the potential that we're working them out. And, at these prices, these people are potentially up on their position. So we'll see. Does it pull back into this level, hold, and go higher? Does it fail because it's above that resistance and people are shorting into this resistance area? We'll see where it opens. The higher we open away from that, the less interested I am really in, because it will be up a lot more on the day, 150, 160, 170%. And we're also just so far from this breakout level that, where would I even want to be selling? Maybe over 350. If we're gapping to those levels, just like a reversal, I don't want to be buying that's up too much. Probably can just leave it alone. So we'll see where it opens. But that is your biggest gapper of the day. GMHS up 130% right now. Right now. Dude, why is my scanner breaking? A lot of people talking about NUKK. We can hit that one. It's not really up that much. So I'm not really all that interested just yet. We can talk about it for a second. We'll just talk about the daily chart. I'm not going to dive into the fundamentals here. Looks like this one ran from the 3s to the 11s a couple days ago. Yeah, not quite 300+%. I didn't even see this one, to be fair. It did 45 mil that day, which is pretty good volume for a stock in the $5 to $11, so like $7 to $8, $9 average. Faded off multiple days. Looks like it's having a first green day of sorts. Already up from 4 to 570. Probably be pretty happy with that if I was, 40, 50% is kind of where I'm thinking. Pretty good case scenario. Was there even a question on it, or someone just saying it's going up? It's going up. Jabril says they caught it. Overnight swing 367. Very nice. That's literally yesterday's low day. So good work. It is a lot higher today. But nothing really there for me. I would expect any big spike to get sold into. I always think about the premiums that Jack Schwartz used to talk about, where you have so much resistance overhead behind us. If you go into the intraday of this day, mark up some levels, and once we kind of get into those zones, probably fails and fades off. If it becomes the crazy Friday holiday squeezer, I could see it coming out of a chart like this, and this one going back to 10, 11, 12. But maybe something to throw in a watch, but not really a pattern for me. Next biggest gapper that we have, we'll hit these and then we'll do some questions and then we will move on. But your next biggest gapper is Move. You guys see what I did there? Movano, U.S. medical device company with a 5 million float. 16 hours ago, they were granted listing extension by Nasdaq. They delayed filing of their quarterly report. They received notification of deficiency, and then so this is just clarification, resolution to that problem. Not really something you would expect a gap of 81% on. You'd think more people would be concerned that they couldn't figure out how to do it on time. But this is small caps, and we do things differently around here, okay? They have negative 4.8 months of cash left. They burn $6 million a quarter. That's a lot. It looks like an expensive business model. Let's see if they have any offering ability. Says low. I think we're just going to trust that unless someone knows more than I do. Shelf expired, replaced on their ATM, so they don't really have any potential to dilute. Those are all higher prices. Let's take a look at the chart here. I swear I don't know what to tell you guys. The more I get into teaching over the past 5 or 6 years, one of the hardest things for me to do is just explain why I don't like something. You just start to get an eye for what you want to see in the markets, like certain gaps and setups, like certain price action. When I see like days in which the stock is like a red candle and it's not even outside of any of this range and it's a decent volume candle, like I just get like confused at what's going on there. This one just looks weird, like it trades kind of funky. It is a gap up from the 60-cent area, almost up 100% now, as high as the 120s. It says it's a 5 mil float. This just does not look like it's barcoding in the pre-market over $1, which sometimes can happen on stocks that will thicken up once they get over $1 if they've been used to trading sub-$1. There's not a whole lot of interest here from me. I wonder if Kyle and Huddie would be all that interested in shorting this one. Just doesn't, there's really no range here. On days that there is volume, there is just really not a whole lot of range. Percent-wise, it's not horrible, but you could maybe look at some of these resistances and say, maybe it could be a breakout over those. I kind of have to see it to believe it here. I kind of want to see how this one trades when the market opens. It's up 87%. News isn't that great. There's no real key themes or buzzwords. But yeah, those are kind of your levels, I guess, 140 and like 80 cents. I really probably wouldn't be all that interested in shorting it, and I'm really not all that interested in longing it. Volume's pretty low. We looked at one a minute ago that was much higher in terms of dollar volume. 27 million is not bad for the pre-market on a dollar stock, but it is bigger than all these other days during this consolidation. Top left to bottom right chart just continues to fade and fade and fade over the years. So there's some reason I don't know how to explain it to you guys. Really just not all that interested here. It doesn't look like a high volatile, rangeful stock that I I want to be a part of. And I avoid most day ones just as it is, but this just doesn't feel like one. If anyone catches my drift there, let me know. All right, let's answer a few questions. It's 9:12. We'll get out of here on time and call it a day. Mark says, Dom, did you play OPAD? I did play OPAD. Ended up being, we talked about it a lot in the webinar yesterday, so check it out. Any 4-leaf for Black Clover that missed it. We pretty much spent 80% of the hour discussing the plan in the mid-morning on OPAD, what I was trying to do with it. Ended up being a reversal and a breakout. Made some money off the reversal. Kept a piece, probably too big of a piece for me for the afternoon, held into after hours, and sold from the golf course upon the offering. That's just how August be going for me. You get that after hours panic from the 6s down to 4. I got out around 5, so I was pretty quick with my phone, but that's just the way it is. I think this one had a decent shot at gapping 7 or 8. Instead, it's a 30-40% pull, so is what it is. That's been August for me, and it's just par for the course. Fernando says, Dom, did you do long INHD, THAR, or SOGP? Like in general, or is there a specific time frame you're talking about? INHD, I played it on this reversal day here. SOGP, I'm never buying because yesterday was day 1, and I'm not really interested in buying day 1s. But really nice runner there from the 4s to as high as like the 17s or 18s at after hours from pre-market. So that's nice to see that we have. It would have to open. No, it went to 16 yesterday, right? So that's, 300% pluser. So that'll be on watch next week for a potential reversal. THAR, I didn't buy. I played this day right here. And yesterday actually ended up being a decent first green day. We talked about this one in the webinar as well, so check that out if you haven't seen it yet. X-Own 247 says, Dom, you watching SKBL? I actually am. That's on my watch list. There's not a lot on my watch list. Kind of a funky daily chart here, but is holding up near the breakout level. Really good volume on day 1, about 100% move there. So if volume comes back in, we're holding over $1. I think that could work. That one's name is Skyline. We just talked about Skyline. Hey-o! Obviously some badness on this chart as well. Some really big dumps. Is this one Chinese? Let's just see. Hong Kong. There you go. I've seen stocks that do that can run during the day. Make sure, I always use stops, but things can get ugly. These are not the type of daily charts I want to be overholding or being in longer than I have to be. Jabril still talking about Nuke. Wing says, Dom, how do you learn not to sell so early and let your profits run? That's very simple. I have like a career average of like 40% win rate. So the only way to overtake that win rate is to have bigger winners. I have no problem giving up 1, 2, 3 R unrealized in the hopes of making 5, 6, 7, because my stats dictate that I must make big winners and I must have bigger on average winners. I would not make a lot of money or any money really if I win 1.5 R, 2 R for every 1 R that I lose, especially when I'm losing 60 or 70% of the time. So I have no choice but to be patient in most situations. I've tried to manipulate my entry style in a way that gives me the best chance of making the highest percent risk reward. But for me, it's just not. I don't get emotional about letting profits run because it's necessary to have the data. This when I say sit down over the weekend and go through your data, go through your numbers, and figure out who you are as a trader. I have 10 years of data on who I am as a trader, and that is a monster month percentage win wise would be like 55%. I have had profitable months in the 20% area. And I will promise when I look at my data this weekend and I do my monthly review for everyone in 4-leaf or Black Clover, you will probably see around a 25% or less win rate. And this was still going to be a right around a 10R green month, which is the worst month of the year for me, but it's green. And I have 4 green days this month. I have to make sure that when I'm right, I am winning bigger. And it's just necessary because that's who I am as a trader. The stats are telling me that, which means if I buy a breakout at $5 and it goes to $5.40 and I was risking 30 cents and I make 40 cents, I'm not going to be profitable taking that. So I don't care how it makes me feel needing to feel that money come into my account right now because it's not a profitable play overall for me. And so I need to find situations where I can make 4, 5, 6 to 1 on conservative price targets. And that is not always simple, but hence you see I live a sad life most of the time where I'm taking loss, and then boom, winner pays for all of it and more. That's just my style. I know it doesn't work for everyone, but it's one of those things where I accepted a long time ago. I don't have the ability to be emotional because I have to be willing to give away profits unrealized in the hopes of making more. And then, obviously that means I have a lot of downtime over the course of the year where the plays just aren't going far enough. It's stuff I get stuck in offerings like OPAD yesterday because I want a little bit more. I want another dollar. I want another $1.50 because that can do so much for the P&L. That's like a 100% type of swing where I ended up making like 3,000 on it. It would have been 5 or 6 if it just goes another dollar, and is what it is. But yeah, so that's how you do it, is you learn that if it fits, I don't want to do it just for the sake of being greedy or trying to make more. Is it part of your system or not? And for me, I'm a big pick a price target and stick to it type of guy. Chris says, any interest in IXHL first green day? No interest for me there. Didn't run that much, about 100% move, bounce off the lows. So it's kind of on the backside already. So I'll leave it alone. I'm sure there's probably potential decent risk reward if you can risk a penny or two and make 7 to 10. Probably good, but I'm not that interested. Someone said HCAT question mark. It's tough to make me speechless, but if you want to let me know why you're watching this, you have no volatility, no range. It trades good volume every day, so it's not your typical small cap. There's absolutely nothing to do with this chart as a day trader for us. Yeah. P Daddy says, how'd you see the offering so fast? Do you get notifications to your phone? It was kind of random. I was playing golf. I was on the 3rd hole and it started downpouring. So I had to sit in the halfway house for like 10, 15 minutes. And I had just had it on my phone and I know it was in the 6s. And then I looked down and I saw the bid was like 5 or like 4 something. I was like, whatever that is, it ain't good. So I went and just immediately sold. So I don't have, you can set alerts on a lot of platforms these days. They come right to your phone. I don't know if they work in after hours in pre-market. I'd have to mess around with that. But when I'm in something overnight, because it's not like every day, I'm not your typical like buying the after hours, selling pre-market guy. I usually have a position for much lower. I don't do a ton of watching it, but I will just keep it on my phone and just kind of every 5 or 10 minutes take a look at it. RR squeezing back, someone says. Nice. Kyle's been swinging that one. Achim says, where did you buy OPAD? Did you buy it directly at the breakout level? I also got F'd in extended hours flush. I played it as a reversal to start, so I was in from the 370s. My average, once I started building in later in the morning, ended up being 414, I believe. So I was involved here, kind of sub 390, and then once I added in this consolidation, my average became 414. And then I kind of just sold into pops along the way because I treated it as a reversal first and then as a breakout second. All right, last question. Interested in KLRS? Never heard of it, so I'm guessing I'm not. But I'll look for you because I think I'm a decently nice person. Not really. Again, the main components of what we're looking for is volatility, range. Like a big thing when I'm looking at small cap stocks, guys, is like, I know this isn't a ton of volume, but oh my gosh, no. There's 420K is the biggest volume. 420K. No. I don't care what this chart does. You can't even do $1 million a day. This is 4 times 3, $1.2 million worth of volume. That's sketchy. I don't care how small your account is. That'd be sketchy. You're going to get sketchy moves. No interest. JC, I would really focus on top percent gainers that are trading massive volume. You want to see the patterns work out that we talk about at Clover. You got to be, it has to fit the minimum criteria, which is like volume, volatility, range, catalyst. Like this is 400K. Ooh, that's not good. Not good. So no interest there. All right, everybody, 9:21 in the morning. I hope you have a great end to your August. I really do. From the bottom of my heart to you guys, I hope you had a good month. And if you didn't, I know you're going to get I know you're going to get it turned around. I know you're going to go and dive into the data this weekend over the next week. Figure it out. We talked a lot about that in the webinar yesterday. That's something I try to teach and focus on is getting to the bottom of your issues, because that's the kind of stuff that lingers. Whatever you struggle with this month is not fully on the market. Just because the market was slower and there was less opportunities doesn't mean you get to write off all the situations you made, all the decisions you made that went poorly, all the decisions that you got greedy, you got too patient, you were too conservative, whatever, you broke rules. Go in, solve those problems, figure it out for yourself. And we'll be back live and at it Tuesday morning at 8:45 a.m. If you want to spend the day over at Clover with us, you can always at clovertrading.io get yourself signed up. We got 54 likes today, so really do appreciate all the support you guys give us for free here on YouTube. I hope you have a great weekend. Have a great holiday. Spend time with friends and family. Understand that trading is just a job. Go spend some time with the people that matter, and have a wonderful rest of your Friday, and we will see you on Tuesday. Have a wonderful day, everybody.